That says the truth is true until we discover a new truth, yeah? And a lot of things we wake up as we go along, if we're in the spiritual path, if we're in the center of Alcoholics Anonymous and not on the outskirts and just going to meetings and hanging in there and holding our breath. And things get revealed to us as God sees fit in His way, in His power, in His time, when I'm ready to put another kind of weight on my back and get revealed. And usually those revelations aren't always pleasant. Some of them are insightful. And the truth is true until I discover new truth. And, you know, for years in Alcoholics Anonymous, I would say how I surrendered on June 23rd, 1988. And I sincerely meant that. And my intent was pure. But we wake up along the way and I start to see things differently. And I can no longer say something like that I surrendered on June 23rd, 1988. And if that works for you, that's fine. This isn't about stirring things up when I'm talking. I've always said that's not my job. My job is to stir things up when I sponsor you, but not here. It's just about presenting my truth. And I didn't surrender on June 23rd, 1988. But really what happened to me, I was surrendered by this power and His mercy and His love and His grace and His insightfulness to see that I really meant business. And even the gift of desperation did not come from me, but came to me like most godly things come to me, not from me. My sponsor always says, we're the pipe, not the well. And so what happened to me in a place of desperation, June 23rd, 1988, mind you, I didn't even know it was the month of June, let alone June 23rd. I found that out when I was brought to my 7th and last treatment center. When those admissions people see you and you can pay or you have insurance, they love you. And she said, honey, today's the first day of the rest of your life is June 23rd, 1988. Isn't that great? And it's not really, you know. I'm thinking homicide and suicide at this point. But I think back on that day when I was living in an abandoned building and tore up from the floor up. I hadn't bathed in forever. I hadn't had a square meal in forever. My clothes were falling off of me. I was filthy. I reeked. And I didn't even have it in me to wallow in self-pity anymore. I didn't have it in me to come up with a conscious decision. My level for discernment was out the window. There was nothing left of me, and I'm not embellishing here. It's truly where I was. I was existing, hanging on to a thread, praying just to die and end the pain. And in that moment, I begged God for mercy. Something came to me to turn back to a power that I had despised for so long. None of the walk in Alcoholics Anonymous, in my experience and countless others, makes sense. When we look at it logically, it doesn't make sense. And I'll lay odds from here to Vegas. Most of us in this room are not supposed to be here tonight. There's a lot of worse places that we really signed up for. So on June 23rd, 1988, I'm laying in the back of this hallway, and I come to again, cursing the day because I know what I'm facing. I'm vibrating. I need a drink desperately. Need to get pills in me desperately. I'm sick as a dog. I weighed 130 pounds. I'm passing blood, urinating blood. I got hepatitis C. My fingernails are filthy. My hair's filthy. I just had a growth on my face. And I realized my condition. How did I get here? From the first drink at 14 years old, it was blissful. It was wonderful. Everything looked nice. I was looking through, rose-colored glasses. Everything got pretty. I felt okay. I was back in my skin. I can breathe for the first time. I was able to make a fool of myself, but flirt with the pretty girls and roughhouse with the guys. The music got better. Everything was really good. And here I am now. I was the kid in my neighborhood. I was going to make it out via music. There was a lot of hope and expectations on me from my family and friends and my kid brothers. I was the guy who was going to make it out. Big time music. I was very gifted with music. And now I'm living in an abandoned building and I'm a drunken bum, literally. Panhandling was my way of earning a living or stealing. And if for some reason I couldn't do that anymore, and the very same God I despised, loathed, I gossiped, I slandered, I critiqued, I just didn't like. I'm a cradle Catholic. And I basically, figuratively speaking, spat right in God's face for everything that happened in my life. But on June 23rd, 1980, I'm given a gift, and it truly is a gift, albeit it didn't feel like a gift when it showed up on June 23rd. It felt punitive. And sometimes in recovery, when God's will is forced upon us, my mind still protests and interprets it, this is punitive. Why are you doing this to me? It's a pruning that's going on to remove anything that's in the way of me and him. I seem to find that when I'm right with him, I'm right with me, which means I'm going to be okay with you. And when God sees the roadblocks, things happen. And it feels punitive, and it did for a moment. So this gift was given to me. My level for discernment popped. It rose. And I realized my condition. And the very same God I hated so much is the very same God I turned back to and begged, please take me from this. I don't want to die. I was not thinking about Alcoholics Anonymous or detox or treatment. We live life forward and understand it backwards. I didn't know what was happening to me back then. I wasn't sitting in that hallway in a puddle of tears. I'm falling apart. I can't stop weeping. I can't stand the sight of myself. And I got family, not too far from where I was, and they're getting on with their life. And I thought of my friends who probably have careers now. And the musicians I knew were probably successful now. And here I am, begging for a bottle of whiskey. So I was given this gift of desperation in that moment. Please take me from this. I don't want to die. I'll never forget those words, is what I offered to God. And he was about to give me a whole new life on a silver platter. It came to me. Yeah? The gift of desperation was my first conscious contact with God. It didn't feel like a gift. It didn't look like a gift. It didn't sound like a gift. I certainly didn't smell like a gift. I didn't look the part. But God doesn't care about that. God sees a wounded soul and throws out, sends in the troops, sends in the Spirit, sends in the angels. And not all of them are in Alcoholics Anonymous. Some of them are just civilians. Sometimes the police officer putting the cuffs on you again, and it's the wake-up call. Got me off the streets where I was going to die. And through a series of circumstances, and perhaps I'll get into that over the next few weeks, my dad showed up, who I hadn't seen in quite some time. I made a plea to God, please take me from this. I don't want to die. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know about if I should go to AA. I thought it was a cult. H&I would bring meetings in. They all looked shiny and glossy. And they go bowling on Friday nights. I don't want this kind of life. My church I was still angry with. I'm not going to church. I'm going to be a holy roller. I'm not going to sit in a therapist's office and tell them my heart. And so I'm not doing this. That all changed in a heartbeat. Because for some reason I wanted and needed all of it. I had a change in heart. There's nothing more whole than a broken heart. And my heart was shattered a million pieces, and yet for some reason I needed and wanted people who were near and dear to me, and the people I knew deep down in my soul who were going to help me was called Alcoholics Anonymous. And I showed up in my 7 treatment center. And after about 10 days of being in my 7 treatments, and 10, 12 days, I need to get drunk again. I need another drink. The detoxes were horrible. I was just going through it really bad. Coming off of pills and booze is not pleasant. They weren't medicating me enough. I need more pills. I can't do another group. If I talk about one more feeling that I have, I'm going to scream. And then the psych doctor would come in and analyze. I got to get out of here. I need a drink. I need a drink right now. And then I'll come back, and I'll go to group. And what happened, thank you God, was they shipped me off to Minnesota for more treatment. Now, when you're in treatment and you're a client and they talk about extending your stay, it's like a death sentence because I got things to do. I can get back to the hallway and tidy up. And they sent me out to Minnesota, and things started to change. I had no big book. I had no steps. I had no program. I had nothing going on. I'm basically in a shell of a man at this point. And God didn't care, because what he did for me in that place of desperation, little by slowly, was shut off the ears to the mind and open up the ears to the soul. So I was seeing what you were doing, and that allowed me to hear what you were saying, if you follow me on that. I saw you shiny and glossy. I was attracted to it. I saw how you mixed with each other. I saw you getting to meetings early and had careers. And I'm watching all of this, and I'm hearing it. And I wanted it more than anything in the world. This was a shift in consciousness for me that I couldn't make happen. But him in his infinite mercy made it happen. I was starting to see beyond what the eyes see and hear beyond what the ears hear. I'm operating out of the soul, and I have no steps and no good, but God gave me that much to get kind of hooked into you. And then the work began. And I would love to tell you the work began immediately, but I was doing that for about 6 months, knocking 3 meetings a day out, as many as I can get to, living in the rooms, which was wonderful, but it was one side of the triangle I was involved in. It kept me buoyant, but I was holding my breath for 6 months, and I almost got loaded because it got painful. I'm going to meeting after meeting after meeting, but I have no solution, and I'm praying to a God. I hope he's still listening. And I got a lot of noise in the head. Suffering comes from the acceptance of a self that God never created. And I have all these selves going on. I'm getting involved with this, and I'm getting involved with that narrative, and getting involved with that narrative. And one thing the mind does when it gives me a thought, it creates a whole storyboard behind it that makes it powerful and true. And off I go. And then the very same mind's, I got a solution for this. You need more money. You need a girlfriend. You need a job. And I can't get that. And if I do, I blow it up anyway. It drives me deeper into the rabbit hole. Give me a drink, I'm out. The mind is a predator. It's a 4-letter word. I have no use for it. It's going to be with me till he gives me my last breath. What do I do about that? I better get some muscles because it'll wait. It'll show up in a busted relationship, a new relationship. No money, a lot of it. It'll just show up. And he creates a whole storyboard behind it. That self, my mind, where the pride and ego and the 7 deadly sins live, is so delusional. And you probably experience this. It thinks it can live outside the circle of God. It could be completely autonomous, and God will never know. And Thomas Merton says to have too much, that's way too much privacy to be apart from God. But off I go again. And I can do that in recovery, where this is my career path. This is my path. This is what I need to do. I need to seek comfort there. I need this. I got to have that. And all of those things, if it's not divinely inspired, are just taking me further and further and further away from God. And then I'm lost while I'm making meetings, and I'm not okay again. And I'm an alcoholic, and when I get really not okay, my mind says, I know it'll make us okay. And it'll only be one time. My alcoholism doesn't come in a bottle of whiskey. I thought it did for a long time. My alcoholism sits right up here in the head, and it'll be there till I take my last breath. One day God's going to call me home, let me die with alcoholism rather than from alcoholism. Yeah. My mind will pay any price tomorrow to seek comfort tonight, even sober. I'll figure it out tomorrow. Right now I'm going to just go do this one time, that's it. Whatever it might be, with him, with her, with them, with this, with that, just right now. And it's a red flag to how miserable I really am. You ever notice when we would drink, like get dry for a while? I can't say spiritual, we get dry and we return to that which is killing us. We all have the same reaction. Oh, I can breathe again. Which means while I was sober, I wasn't that good. And every time I picked up a drink, it was that sense of relief. I can breathe again. Something was radically wrong with me. From the time I was, yay high up until 28 when God gets me sober. My alcoholism doesn't come in a bottle of whiskey. And so while I'm in Minnesota, I did this treatment center thing, and then they sent me to a halfway house, which I thought was for criminals only. Oh my God, going to a halfway house, I got to toughen up. I can only look so tough. I mean, it's not going to work. And and then they sent me to a 3-quarter house. Now I thought I was a big shot. And then they sent me to a sober house. But around 6 months sober, I'm going to meetings and I'm not drinking. I'm going to meetings, I'm not doing anything that's affecting me from the neck up. But I'm acting out in a lot of ways. I got a lot of dialogue going on in my head, a lot of narratives. I'm starting to look in the mirror and say, you're a bum again. You still don't have a job. The Rolling Stones are never going to call you to play drums. You blew it. You're never going to meet someone nice and have children, have the house with the white picket fence. Your family still don't want to talk to you. And the dialogue started. And I'm listening to it because it's seductive. The mind is seductive. It seduces me. It just draws me in because they're my thoughts. They must be true. I mean, if you presented me with the same thoughts, I would say, Les, that's crazy. But when I have them and they're not crazy, it's very real. And that's what gives him power. And I remember I was in Minneapolis driving, just cruising around. I don't know what I'm looking for. Excitement, something. I'll go to the next bar I see, I'm going in, I don't care. Drive past that, I'll go to the next bar. And drive past that one. If I see someone dealing, whatever they're dealing, I'm copying. I got to get my hands on something. This is terrible. And in the middle of that, God shows up again. He never gives up on any of us. I heard someone say just recently that God has more faith in us than we do in him. I'm a drunken bum. He has faith in me. And I said, the next group of guys or one person I see dealing, whatever they're dealing, I'm getting. And then God interrupted that. I thought of this one guy in a town called Cottage Grove, Minnesota. Go see him. And I had about a 45-minute drive, maybe an hour drive to get to him. And it's a farm town, one-horse town. And I knocked on his door, and he was surprised. Come on in, and what's going on? And, you just purge when you knew, the whole thing. And when I paused, he said to me something I've shared from a million podiums, and I pray never forget. He says, where are you, God, in the 12 steps? I says, when do you start the steps? He says, when you stop throwing up, you're late. That disturbed me on the question of alcoholism. It disturbed me. I felt attacked. He caught me. I wanted a nice story. I felt the same way. Just go to meetings. It'll get better. Practice page 449 acceptance, that kind of stuff. He didn't do that. He leveled my alcoholism, but he gave me truth. It sent my recovery in a different direction, as many of these men did along the way, because they weren't afraid to tell me the truth. They weren't afraid to give me exactly where I was at. They didn't lie to me. Can't lie to an alcoholic. I'm signing his death certificate when I do that. And so I knew I needed to get busy, and next thing I know, I come home, and by this time, I'm back in Brooklyn, New York, and for a few months now, I pick up something else. Because alcoholism goes underground and resurfaces in other areas, sex sprees and food sprees and gambling sprees and money sprees and shopping sprees and isolation sprees. And it goes on and on and on because the present moment is too uncomfortable, so I do this. And I feel control and power in that place. See, what I've learned now where I am, how far away have I gotten from step one based on my actions? And I can't gauge my spiritual condition based on what I'm comfortable with. Because waking up is going to disturb me. It's going to make me uncomfortable. Okay. My behavior is a direct reflection of the value I put on God in my recovery. I mean, that's the best way to put it. So I'm going to a meeting, but in the parking lot, I'm a gigolo. I'm going to meetings, but when I'm not in a meeting, I'm in a casino, spending my mortgage, trying to hit it big. I go to meetings, but when I'm home, I'm in a dark room looking at things I shouldn't be looking to online. And it goes on and on and on because I need something. And for me, it was food. I've shared this many, many times. I developed this eating disorder, and my sponsor found out and took me to another fellowship. And that's how I really was the springboard of me getting into therapy, because here I am going through the steps and I've got this food thing going on. I'm getting really sick from it. And it's the secret thing, which really was the red flag. I was keeping it secret. I felt control in purging and gorging and getting sick from it. I'll change tomorrow. Don't tell anyone. I'll change tomorrow. Keep it a secret. We got it under control. It was no longer under control. It was my drink. And what I found out in that there was still a plaque on the soul. And a lot of it had to do with being molested as a kid and some mommy issues. My mom committed suicide when I was 14. There was a lot of that stuff still laying around. I don't know what to do with it. So the system says, let's go do something. Because I can't just sit and relax and watch TV. There's too much noise going on. I'm uncomfortable when I'm in a group of people. I'm fronting. How you doing? I'm great. You know the standard answer of an AA. How you doing? I'm great. I just beat my wife up, kicked the dog, but I'm great. I got fired. I'm great. Because I don't want you to know. And here's why. Because you may not like me and I can't come back here. It is the last house on the block for me, so I'll pretend. I always say this, newcomers a year and under. Usually someone will come up to you with double-digit sobriety, say, how you doing? You look good, you sound good, how you doing? I'm good, I'm really good. You're not that good. And we know it. You're better. And not to be afraid to tell someone who's been around a while, I'm doing better, but it's not that good yet. I still don't sleep at night. I still have things that are bothering me. I'm afraid of the future and worried about the past. And you people are talking about living in the present moment. I can't even touch that. I walk into me and put on the AA smile, but I really just want to cry in a corner. We know that. Tell us. Once we walk through the door, everyone's an equal anyway. There's no totem pole in here. Yeah? One of the things I had out there, and I'm sure you can identify, was a need to control. I want to control my drinking. I want to control the substances I'm taking. I want to control people to get a desired outcome. And I walk into Alcoholics Anonymous exactly with that. Trying to control. And if I can control something and get what I want, I believe God loves me and knows I'm alive. And if I don't, he doesn't love me and I don't even exist. So it was a search, a seeking to get positive affirmations, to seek control in everything I do. Walk into a room and they set it up different. No one told me. I'm leaving. When did this happen? I had to let go, relinquish all control. And it seems to be the more I relinquish control and the more I let go of my life, I seem to find I'm in the saddle and I find my life. There's something that says, if I try to find my life, I will lose it. If I lose for his sake, I will find it. It's none of my business. It doesn't mean I don't care about myself, but it's none of my business. What my business is finding out what God wants for me today. I'm reporting for duty. Where do you want me? What do you need me to say? What do you need me to do? That's my job. And I seem to have a purpose and direction for almost 38 years. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm headed for. I'm supposed to help another alcoholic achieve sobriety. That's my purpose. And sometimes when I streamline it like that, a lot of things begin to happen. It flourishes. But when I'm hell-bent on what I need to do, I just watch the whole thing decay. And I'm wondering what's wrong with you, not what's wrong with me. The mind lies all the time. So after 7 treatment centers, I landed in Alcoholics Anonymous. From my first drink at 14 on a street corner in Brooklyn, as I said, it was euphoric, it was wonderful, it was life-changing. I felt in control, I felt powerful. Thinking about my mom who died when I was 14, that was removed. The fear I had around my dad, that was removed. The insecurity, if I wasn't making music, I was vibrating all the time. Have you ever been so insecure that when you're talking to someone, there's a voice that says in your head, that was dumb, you shouldn't have said that? Or you walk into a room and maybe you're a little overdressed and you feel like I look like an idiot, I'm going home. Or you're underdressed, I'm a fool, they think I'm a bum, I'm going home. No matter what we're doing, we're just not right. So you walk with that, and I pick up a drink at 14, cold 45 beer, and in a short time it all went away. I was part of life at last. Bill talks about this. I'm in. I felt connected for the first time. And up until 14, I think about it, I've heard enough of our stories. It's so sad that we pick up a drink at 14, 15, 16. And prior to that, we're lost. We might be good in athletics, good in school, whatever we're doing, and we're kind of getting along, but we're just outside the circle. I call myself like an observer. I still observe. It's something that'll be with me forever. I watch. But back then I would really watch. I want to get in there and play tag. And I got in there and I'm really self-conscious. How do I look? I remember playing football and I got tackled one time, really took a hit. And guys went to pick me up and I wanted to run away because I got tackled. I must look like an idiot. That's football, you get tackled. But not for me, it was life-changing. By the time 1988 rolled around and I'm in my 7 treatment center, I still don't know what alcoholism is, what it's all about. I kind of glanced through a big book. I didn't think a book would tell me how to live my life and stay sober. It's a book. I don't like reading. I got a kind of fragile relationship with this powerful God. I'm praying, but I don't know if he's really listening. I'm going to the fellowship and I felt safe in the meetings, but at the same time very intimidated because everyone had jobs and careers and boyfriends and girlfriends and husbands and wives and kids, and I had a car to go home with. Dinner was waiting for them to go to the dine. I couldn't do that. I had no money. So even though I felt safe in the numbers, and I still do, it's a Band-Aid on an open wound when we're new, but I still felt like I'm different from you, not because of alcoholism, but I got nothing going on. Why are they even shaking my hand for? So I would be pinned up against the back of the wall all the time. There was a meeting called the Three Legacies meeting I'd go to. I was taken to. It was a Friday night meeting, around 300 people. Everyone was dressed proper for the podium. You know, trusted servants were dressed proper to be a trusted servant. Even the literature people, coat and tie, that kind of thing. And I was petrified, but it looked good. But I'd stand up against the back of the wall because I'm wearing my kid brother's sneakers and pants and jacket, and they don't fit, nothing fit. It's getting cold out in Minnesota, and I got like the inappropriate clothes. And I know they're talking about me. I still got the bags under the eyes and the sunken cheeks. I need a haircut, you know. I'm using the same razor blade for a week. That's all I got. So I'm feeling kind of odd about this. Live life forward and understand it backwards. I don't know if I can survive that again. Maybe I could. Those kind of humble beginnings. I'm so grateful God kept me right-sized. I see a lot of cats come into AA, get everything back right away and blow up. He spoon-fed me. I'm going to give you a job with a little bit of money. Give you another job, a little bit more money. No relationships for you. You didn't not have a relationship with a guppy yet. We're going to go slow on this one. But I didn't know what alcoholism was. 7 treatment centers. And I get to Alcoholics Anonymous. And I meet you. And then I get a sponsor who sat me down and ordered me to get a big book. I said, I got one in treatment. And in the big book, it's probably in here, you open it up and there's a white page. There's nothing on it. That's what you know about alcoholism. And we began. And I really had to understand exactly what I'm up against. And I have found the path in Alcoholics Anonymous is not an intellectual one, nor is the spiritual awakening an intellectual one. It's a spiritual one. It's an awakening of the soul. Because what this book does is go way past the mind. It just bypasses the mind. This is not about self-help and positive affirmations. This is about hitting the soul and waking it up. And the process of recovery to do that is by removal, never addition. I don't need anything to get sober. What I need is one thing, be rid of me. And the more space I have between me and me, the better I am. I start to travel light. I got too much me. God gave me all the tools I need when I popped out of Mama in 1959. And what I did over years was accumulate stuff that this mind told me I need. I need more of this. I need more of that. I need less of this. And I start to build my own little fortress, and all of it collapses. And God said, we're going to take it all away and start over. The process of recovery is not even linear, but transformational. We'll meet folks with a year who were lit up, and someone with 10, we don't have coffee with them. It's all about a soulful walk, and it's about relationships. How am I doing in my relationships? This came to me a number of years ago, and it's still with me. And sometimes it's some heavy lifting to mend some fences or to accept people for who and what they are, because some people do some goofball things. But how am I doing my relationship first with Him? Where am I with God as of tonight? I mean, what does that relationship look like? Is it tangible for me, or it's still kind of out there? How often do I go to God in adversity, and even when the victories come? Am I going for show me and thank you? I don't know what to do about it. I'm in pain today. Thank you for that. Where am I with God? Because at the end of the day, there's only one power, who has no fear, who has all knowledge and power, that is not worried about writing inventory, doesn't need a sponsor, doesn't have to go to meetings, and that's God. I better saddle up to that power. And sometimes it takes a tremendous amount of pain for us or me to get there. My bottom was enough. Relationships with other people. You know, if I'm thinking of, if someone mentions John or Mary's name and I feel that tension in my gut, it's my problem, not theirs. Get into some good gossip about John or Mary, it's my problem, not theirs. And all I'm doing is painting my soul with plaque. And I'm wondering, how come I'm not connected? Because I've been doing this for a while. I've disconnected myself from everything. I have my own little story going on. And if you would just believe as I believe, I'll be okay. I really don't care too much about you. Alcoholism doesn't come in a bottle of whiskey. I know some folks who do this and don't have sponsors. I know some folks who do 12-step series, they've even opened a book. They don't even know what some of the stuff in the book is. I don't want to be that. That's an ego-driven talk. I'd rather someone get up here and kind of stutter along from the soul for an hour because I'm going to get next to that person. There's a responsibility here to you, to him, and to myself about where I am here, because alcoholism doesn't come in a bottle of whiskey. There was a guy, Don Coyers, who said, alcoholism will get you where you think you're good. Because I'm not looking. So I sit with the sponsor and I begin to learn about alcoholism and this book. And I quickly found out through the guidance of a sponsor, something I never knew, that if I include doctor's opinion, that there's 53 pages in our big book talking just about step one. The rest of the steps are, page, a couple of paragraphs, 53 pages, all to do with step one, to set me up for the rest of it. Because if I don't get that, the rest of the process won't work. I'll go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, go get loaded. I don't understand what alcoholism is really all about. Well, I know when I drink, I can't stop drinking because my body reacts different. It's called craving. I get stuck in more when I drink. From the very first time I drank Colt 45 beer, I wanted more. I didn't know anything about an allergy. I knew nothing about craving. I just know I like the effect produced by this. I want more. And that I graduated to puking to drink more. And as soon as I get released by the judge, I go right back to the thing that got me in front of the judge because I know it's going to be different this time. And all I can do is think about the next one, how wonderful it's going to be. The last one wasn't too good. This one's going to be great. The next one's going to be great. And life is falling apart. I can't see any of this because my mind is running my life right now, and that'll follow me right into Alcoholics Anonymous. Guys, I got here at 28 years old, and when I got here, I was operating at about a 16-year-old mentality. I still thought about the shit, thought like the streets. I saw like the streets. I heard like the streets. Bill talks about emotional sobriety. I had none. I'm acting like a 16, 17-year-old, stopping my feet when I don't get my way. When's my turn? Where's my piece of the cake? Why not me? How come you? I looked at women the same way. I looked at guys the same way, sizing people up. And this was going to be my home. I don't know any other way to operate. My language was not good. I cursed regularly, even when I shared. It's all I know. My alcoholism doesn't come in a bottle of whiskey. So I had to learn about what I'm up against. And our book beautifully writes out what I'm up against. I identified with the first 9 pages of Bill's story. How Bill drank, how Bill felt, how Bill thought. Even though I had nothing in common other than drinking with Bill, I understood Bill. I identified with Bill. I identified with you when I heard your stories. That's me. I drink like that. I get that. Wanting to stop and going right back to it again. I'll stop tomorrow one more time. And it's unbelievable how I would make a promise not to drink. I'll have one and, figuratively speaking, be glued to a bar stool and life is passing me by. I got to get home, just one more drink. I got to be there, just one more drink. You know what? The hell with it. I'm going. I'll figure it out tomorrow. I'll pay any price tomorrow to seek comfort today. So I got this body that doesn't handle alcohol, and if I, God forbid, was to pick up a drink tonight, you'd probably pull me out of a dumpster tomorrow because it's immediate. My track record proves I blow up right away, and I'm on the search for more. I get stuck in more. That's the body. But it's interesting, if my mind never talked to me about drinking, the body wouldn't react. So I really have a mind problem. It's a body problem, but it all starts with the mind telling me a drinky poo would be nice right now. Just one, just take off the edge. It's Super Bowl Sunday. What's a beer going to do? I love newcomers that go down to the bar to watch the Super Bowl. Watch it at home. And they call you up, I did it again. No kidding. It's too late. 23 to 43 is going to talk to me about my mind, the big liar, the predator. If there is a Satan, it is a thinking mind. It wants no part of God. It protests when I get silent. It protests against prayer. Protests so much that my body begins to react to it, like I feel anxious when I'm praying. I got to get this over with. I got things to do. Sitting in a meeting, I'm fidgety. My legs are twitching 100 miles an hour. because the mind don't want me there, and the body reacts accordingly. The same way when the mind says a drink is going to fix this, and I cannot think the drink through. I'm going to drink. When suddenly shows up, I'm in serious, serious trouble. And even a human power won't stop me. The kid's crying, please, Daddy, don't get drunk. I'll step over them. My wife says it a million times. She'd give her life for her kids. She couldn't get sober for her kids. That's alcoholism. And it takes me back to that which is killing me. I got to take a look at in sobriety, what do I keep returning to get some relief that's really wrecking my life? Is it money? Is it sex? Is it food? What's going on? What is my prayer life like? Do I have a prayer life? How far away have I drifted from step one based on my actions? And the third piece is the spiritual malady. Now, if you watch the news, the planet's suffering from a spiritual malady. We've got spiritual warfare going on. And I don't want to break a tradition, but my point of view is we can get the greatest politician in the world. It's not going to fix it. This is a people problem. This is a separation, conscious separation from this power. And for me, it's deadly. Where am I with this God, this spiritual malady? Other people might have it. I know I got it. What am I going to do about it? And for a guy like me, it's important. I'm in meetings. I love our fellowship. It's sacred. I make a lot of meetings. But I know that just going to meetings is not going to treat what ails me in here. And when I start to get untreated, what I do is I look to external conditions to remedy this, to get a sense of belonging, get a sense of self, if you will. And it never works. Because it's not enough, it didn't come quick enough. Or I get bored and I need to move on to something else. I'm on this hunt to look for something that's going to make me okay. And it doesn't. Powerless over alcohol means I don't have power, choice, control. Obviously in the body, once I pick up a drink, all of us know that one. Pick up a drink, I'm having a second drink. It's unbelievable with me, the second drink would scream louder than the first one. First one goes down, the second one's coming. There's no way I'm leaving. I am not leaving. I have a third. Then sometimes there's the buyback. I got to do that. Can't look bad. I'm a classy guy. And then I'm looking for Flacco in the back of the bar. What do you got? And then I call you from the police station. Can you bail me out? I'm in trouble. I want to get sober. I need to find the Lord now. When I did it again and again. And it comes a point, it did for me, where, you know what, I'm never getting sober. I was sitting in my 6th treatment center. I walked out after 36 hours. I AMA'd. They pleaded me, don't do this. But not only the detox was so terrible, but the realization of the damage I did, not only to me, but to loved ones. I'm never getting out from under. Our book talks about, we tell you how we got out from under, because they were there. I'm never going to get sober. How am I going to get out from under? It's never going to happen to me. Might as well just go away, take my own life and get out. And I tried to do that in some flea bag motel in Staten Island, New York, and God interrupted my death. Powerless over alcohol. Here's the scary part about alcoholism. The baffling feature of alcohol is the utter inability to leave it alone, no matter how great the necessity or the wish. That while I never picked up the first drink drunk. Get out of a treatment center after 9 weeks, 2 days later, I'm blind drunk. Get out of a treatment center an hour later, I'm drunk. Never picked up the first drink drunk. My mind has no power, choice, or control to stop the train that's headed for me. I'm doomed. Unless I got some spiritual muscles. I need to work out in the AA gym. A lot of us go to CrossFit and go to the gym and we look great. But the spiritual soul is flabby, it's doughy, susceptible to anything that gives me a little pleasure, a little quick fix. I'm going in because I'm miserable. I toss and turn at night. I'm in a meeting. When's this thing going to end? I got to get out of here. I'm just not okay. All part of my alcoholism. So I got this threefold illness that's killing me. And yet it gets repaired when I walk into Alcoholics Anonymous and get busy with the sponsor. You know, when the book says we admitted powers over alcohol, dash that our lives had become unmanageable in step 1. If you're new, I'll give you the bad news. Step 1 says you can't work on step 1. We can work on step 0 and wreck our life. Step 1 tells a guy like me, Peter Marinelli, you are drinking. I don't care how much coffee you make, how much GSR work you do. I don't care what. If you don't get right in the soul, you are drinking. That's step 1 in a nutshell. No power, no choice, control in the mind and in the body. Then it says dash, our lives had become unmanageable, and I fell to this. Thank God for a sponsor. Well, I'm a homeless bum, and I come into AA, and I get a little job, so I'm buying clean jeans, clean sneakers, I'm shaving, I'm bathing, I get a couple of dollars in my pocket, I could put money in the basket, I can even go to the diner and buy a burger. This is great. And the old timers are saying, you look good, you sound good, you look good, you sound good, and I'm getting that. It's great to hear. Being so broken, I'm getting some attaboys. This is great. What my mind does, however, is pay attention to one thing. You made your life manageable. Keep it buoyant. Keep looking good and sounding good, and looking good and sounding good, and that dash becomes a huge wall that I can't peek over to the first half of the first step that says, you're screwed. I don't care if you wear the best Armani suits. You're getting loaded. You got no muscles. That's why we have the pointer out, which is step 2. Really screwed. Our book says the more hopeless we feel, the better. Those are not kind words, but they're certainly sobering words. Step 1 tells me I'm getting loaded. It's not about remembering where I come from, because I tried that. I got loaded. Remember the pain of yesterday. It gets taken away sometimes. All my mind can focus on that is going to make me okay. Even briefly. It's better than what I have right now. Get out, I said earlier, get released by the judge and go right back to the same thing all over again, because I know it's going to be different. Until I lock into this big book with the sponsor and this fellowship and start doing service, that very same person, me, who seemed doomed, is suddenly able to recreate our life by God's hand. It makes no sense. All the busted relationships, little by slowly, start to get healed. Little by slowly, in God's time and God's way. I wanted everyone to trust me 10 minutes out of the gate. They didn't. I wanted to be employed right away. I wasn't. I wanted money. It didn't come. It still comes slowly to me. But I travel light. There's something that says nothing can hinder the Lord from saving, whether by many or by few. No matter what, I'm walking into something with, God's bigger. He always wins. Whether one's coming at me or 100 coming at me, God will always win. My job is to saddle up to God. And I got 12 steps to do that. And I'm supposed to give it all away in a spirit of love and service. And sometimes that's heavy lifting. But have I forgotten I'm an alcoholic? I remember calling my sponsor one time. I read some inventory. He says, my God, you forgot you're an alcoholic. I was insulted with that statement. And he broke down the inventory. He says, you see what's going on this page? The selfish and self-centered behavior you got going on? That's alcoholism. Have you forgotten? You didn't talk about going to God once today. Our big book talks about on awakening and retiring at night. That doesn't mean I only have to do it then. God likes the sound of strange voices. He said, stop praying. I can go to him at lunchtime. I go to him at 2 in the afternoon. Am I turning in order to go out? Because if I don't turn in, I'll go without. So for me, step 1, when we talk about step 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves. Sometimes that's a stumbling block for us. Turn our will and life over to care of God's will. Sometimes that's a stumbling block. But there's one thing I do believe in. There's one thing I have absolute faith in, which was a springboard, that when I pick up a drink, I can't stop drinking. My life ceases to exist. I'm clear of that, abundantly clear of that. And on that, that's a decision. For me, the steps are not conclusions of the mind; they're awakening of the soul. When I get that deep down in here, I'm alcoholic. What my truth is, I'm ready to move on to the next piece. Even though I don't know what it's going to bring or where it's going to take me, what it's going to look like, it's better than what I have right now, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes. One of the questions I usually ask men I sponsor is, are you willing to go to any lengths? And some will say, what does any lengths look like? None of your business. Because I don't know what it is. But are you willing, keyword willing, to go to any lengths, whatever that looks like? Whatever it takes. I had one guy tell me my ego's in a way I can't write my thoughts up. No, you're just lazy. You forgot you're an alcoholic. Let's not analyze and get therapeutic with this. You're lazy. You forgot you're an alcoholic. Remember when we first come in here? I'll do anything. 6 months later, I'll pick and choose. Take what you want, leave the rest. I'm leaving everything. I'm out of here. Alcoholism. So hopefully next week we'll talk maybe a little bit more about this and get into step 2. That's all I got. Peace.
Recovery inspiration is sitting right there waiting for you. Rocketed.org AA speaker recordings brings real voices and real stories straight to your ears. Subscribe now so you never miss a new recording dropping. Keep that motivation on tap and help spread the word. Hit subscribe and let recovery find you every single day.